Today we're going to see what happens when Michael Myers meets Michelangelo. I have this a Happy Meal toy. I have a knockoff NECA Michelangelo, and I have a NECA Michael Myers from the movie Halloween. And first I'm going to get them nice and hot and wet and take them apart. I mean, they don't need to be wet, but that's how I'm making them heat up with hot water. I just recently boiled that water, and so that McDonald's one wasn't soft enough to cut yet, so I go on to the back of Michael Myers, not Mike Myers or Michelangelo or Mikey Myers. Anyways, now that's hot enough that I can cut it off with scissors. And I was just making room for the shell. That's why I cut out the back of his jumpsuit. But I started sanding that shell, and that plastic is so cheap and gross. Like, when I was sanding it, it smelled so bad I had to stop like right away, because you don't want to breathe that stuff in. So I took off his feet, but I'm gonna realize later I should have took the ankles out and left them in the shoe, because that's gonna cause me problems. But I cut up his neck so that the joint of Michelangelo's head will fit into the neck, and then I cut I guess where the zipper would be, or buttons, so that I can open his chest and put in the turtle chest that I had from another one of these knockoffs that I cut up to make one of the other sewer slashing turtles. This is a 2mm foam, and I'm just getting the base of that shell there, because I cut off that part, and it wasn't the whole part anyway, because it opened on that McDonald's toy. And I put some more foam on the inside so that it fits better on his back. Now I have Apoxie Sculpt that I already mixed together. It's a 2-part epoxy clay, I guess. And I made toes on the shoes, because I want to keep I have two complete turtle or knockoff turtle figures that I can use in the future, but they don't have heads. But that's easy to make a head, or I have extra heads, or we'll see what I use them for. But I'm using the Apoxie Sculpt to now sculpt. I want to cover his mouth and do a little bit of a rim for it, because he's wearing a mask. But the Mike Myers mask was a Star Trek William Shatner mask that they painted white, so I like to think that he had a Homer Simpson mask that he painted white. But the Homer Simpson mask was another mask that got painted yellow. Simpsons trivia, what was that mask? I don't know which episode it was, but it happened. Anyway, but when I was putting the hair on, I accidentally messed up the mouth, so I added more to the mouth, and this way I can give a scar, because Mike Myers, or Michael Myers, famously has a scarred eye, or bad eyesight, just like me. Now I have a matte acrylic varnish, but I only get the neck, and then that's the lid of super glue that just to hold the jacket open so it can dry. And so now I can paint the green after it dries. It's a hunter green, and I'm gonna give like 3 or 4 layers of that to get it all covered, but over time. This is just the first layer, and that's the figure I started with for Michael Myers. Now I'm just using a nail file to sand the mask a little bit to smooth it down, and because I want to take a lot off of this, I was planning to just sand off and only add a little bit of the Apoxie Sculpt to the back of the shell, but I ended up having to do this X pattern because I had to cover the Donatello bow staff that was sculpted into the back in that cheap plastic that I didn't want to deal with anymore, so I just covered it. And that's my inspiration, but I'm doing it more modern. I'm using NECA figures, and I'm going more like what the monster, or well, what Michael Myers would look like if the turtle was Michael Myers, instead of like 90s turtle with Halloween costume on. So now that all the Apoxie Sculpt dry, so I add green also to the shell and to the toes. And now I have a burnt umber. I'm just kind of dry brushing, but I'm putting a lot on because I want to really make this shell look kind of gritty and old and decayed, and I don't know. I also put some brown on the shoes and the pant legs to make it look like he's been in the mud. And I'm using the same burnt umber on for his hair because I already have it out. Why not? and just cover the hair that I had carved in with the Apoxie Sculpt, just using like a silicone tool to make little lines and for hairs, follicles. Now I have a raw sienna and I'm just dry brushing that on the back of the shell, and I did a little on the front of the shell just to add a little variation in the colors. That was from Donatello, so it's got like kind of glue marks where his belt was, because his belt was on his chest. And I'm doing another coat of dry brushing, but with daffodil yellow. I'm just gonna get all the edges, and I went a little heavy with that, but I like the way it turned out. And now I'm just using that color to be my base coat for the mask, because yeah, white on top of green and gray, you'd see the difference a lot more. But if I go yellow first, then I only have to do one coat of the white, and the white is yellowish. Well, I want it yellowish, so why not? And then the final coat of green on the neck area, because it just took a little while to cover it all, and I want it to be thick enough, because when I put the head on, that's the most chance of scratching. Now I have some white, but I put a little bit of raw sienna just because I don't want it bright white. I just want it a little bit off white, and I'm dry brushing that over the yellow I put on. And then some of in the cracks I tried to leave some of the gray and not put any yellow, so we have different colors on the mask, and like it's an aged, beat up mask. Now the head still wouldn't fit in, so I'm sanding a little bit on the inside of the neck so that the hole or the ball will fit in, and his toe came off, so I'm gluing that back on. That happens a couple times. And I was just sticking the chest piece into the opening I cut on his jumpsuit. Now I glue down the back, or to the shell to the back, just in all the spots that it will connect, and the raised spots go right onto the back. The other ones are kind of on his jumpsuit. I wanted to fit it in so it would be like the pants part, the shell would be inside, but it was too big, it wouldn't fit. I did put Michelangelo's belt on him, that fit well. And now I cut the piece that I had cut off the back into thin strips, and I fill in some of the gaps around the sides of the shell and added a couple extra pieces kind of dangly or just for accents. And I got some black out to get the line of the scar in the mask, then black wash to get in the cracks of his hair to make that pop out a little more and add some detail. And I dry brush a little of the wash on the mask, but those are kind of the two masks or two faces. And then I glue the bottom ball in, but it still moves because it's got another ball in the top of the head. And when I made this backgrounds and diorama setup, I was only going to have one grave, that grave, because I ordered a bunch of these NECA figures, and then I thought it didn't have the grave, but it was like packed in the bottom of the pack, so I made two other graves, but now I have 3 graves on that area that these guys will just live forever. And thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, remember, always keep your head up. Peace.